Hello and welcome to Becca Chats With. I'm Becca from Glow Up with Becca on TikTok, and I'm really excited to be able to share this series with you of interviewing other people from TikTok who are also on a health and wellness journey. So today I'm going to be talking to Sophie. Let's get started.
I'm Sophie and my account is Sophiekslim, and it's all about my journey to lose £90, which I've lost £40 of so far. And yeah, I'm like trying to learn to love myself and overcome like lots of insecurities. So I'm just sort of like documenting the whole process.
And what made you start your TikTok account?
Just I lost 2 stone in the middle of lockdown last year. And I just thought, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing it. And every time before that, I think there's always been something in the back of my head that's made me think I was never going to actually do it. So I never bothered with anything. But the fact that I was actually doing it, I was like, oh my God. Because it's so funny, actually. So when I had basically a breakdown about the fact that I'd bought yet another program and it was just a low fat diet. And so I
Okay.
sat with a spreadsheet and I wrote this paragraph that was basically like, I'm so sick of the diet industry and I'm going to do it myself and then I'll be able to help other people properly. And then here we are.
Amazing.
And I didn't actually at the start, I don't think I actually believed that I was going to be able to do it. And then it's the first time that I've actually like healthily tried to lose weight and it's working.
Yeah.
So
I was exactly the same. I never thought I'd get this far. I just started by me and my friend were on a walk one day, and we just had a pact where we both said we're not going to drink for a month and just see how we feel. And I
yeah,
stuck to it because I'd stopped drinking. All these other things started happening. I started sleeping better, eating better, exercising
yeah,
more. But I never imagined I'd get to this stage in the fitness journey.
yeah,
I was trying to lose that lockdown weight from lockdown one because
yeah,
I gained a stone, and then I thought, let's lose the stone, but I actually now have lost two. So
yeah.
I've got to a point that I've never been ever. And it
It's
sounds like you're
amazing.
about the same.
Yeah. And it's really exciting.
It's so exciting,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's like the best thing ever. And this is something I say to people as well. Like, as particularly like for me, when I started out, I had £90 that I wanted to lose. And that seems like such a huge amount of weight to lose and really daunting.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm not even halfway now. But even if I stay where I am now, I am way happier than I was there.
Yeah.
And even after, like, just even a stone makes such a difference to the way you feel, how
Yeah.
energized you are. So rather than looking at things as like, oh my God, I've got this huge amount to lose, like you said, you only thought you had a stone,
Yeah.
but actually you've enjoyed it so much that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I can keep going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it's a
amazing.
lifestyle, isn't it? We've both
Yeah,
just completely overhauled our lives, and I genuinely I feel like a new person. I feel
yeah,
like, I mean, I'm age 30, and before I started this I was kind of thinking, right, it's time to settle down in life, and now I feel like my life's just beginning and I'm so excited for that. And I know we've
that is
both
so exciting.
become single about the same time, and
Yeah,
the world is not ready for us.
no, I literally just posted a video that was like, me crying over a boy, me
Yeah.
realizing I just got a free ticket to Hot Girl Summer. Like, I'm
Yeah.
really excited about, being single and being in the best shape of my life. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And we talk a lot about physical and the physical changes. What would you say the mental and the mindset changes have been for you so far?
probably the biggest thing is my relationship with food.
Yeah.
I've had like a very disordered relationship with food my entire life. Even really small things like going out for a meal, I would just never be the sort of person that would pick a salad because there's
Mm.
something in my head that would say, oh, well, I'm eating out. I
Yeah.
might as well go all out. And
Yeah.
those little changes, like I noticed it when it was Eat Out to Help Out.
Oh
And that was
yeah.
the first time I'd been allowed out. And it was like, overwhelming because you're like, oh my God, we need to go out every single day because
Yeah.
it's so cheap.
Yeah.
And I found myself like, oh, well, today I'll get the chicken Caesar salad. And rather than sitting there and being like, oh, this is just absolutely awful, all my friends are eating whatever they want, I was genuinely happy to eat that.
Yeah.
So that's a huge change. Like that, I suppose that comes with the not labeling things, which is great when you're doing a calorie deficit, that you're not saying, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. What other things have I suppose like the things like sleep.
Yeah.
Another huge one is, so I've suffered with anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bout of depression about 10 years ago, but the main thing was I had generalized anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And since I've like overhauled my life and I've been exercising more, and I think probably a big thing is the running. Although I still have the anxious thoughts, my body doesn't react in that way anymore,
Yeah.
which is a really bizarre feeling. So I hired a car a few weeks ago, and normally, because I live in London and I never need to drive anymore, it's something that triggers my anxiety. And
Okay.
I was in the car and I got the thoughts, oh, well, I'd normally be anxious now. But the physical symptoms of anxiety just didn't happen to me anymore. And I really believe that that's because I've been like working out, and my body is just in a much better shape.
Isn't that so amazing that when you start to really prioritize your health and your wellness, you can handle things that come your way?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that exact same thing. I mean, it's been a stressful year for all of us. And certainly the first lockdown, I was eating all the time, drinking all the time, and I wasn't very happy about myself. And I was feeling quite anxious as well. And I think probably a lot of people have felt that way. But when I've had this mindset change, putting myself in the best position possible, fueling myself with food I like, but also food that's really like nutrient dense and stuff that's going to make me feel good, loads of water, I've been able to handle other situations in life. Like work has been tough, but I'm doing really well at work. Like friendships, I feel like all my friendships have improved, and I can just handle things in a way that before I might have spiraled and thought everything's going wrong. And then I would have treated myself with junk food and wine, thinking that that was going to help. And it's so funny how that's just not the case.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I suppose a lot of it as well is like when you're on any weight loss journey, whatever it is that you're doing, a lot of the time you just become consumed. So you're so consumed in, can I eat this? Can I eat that? Can I do this? Can I do that? That like other areas of your life tend to like fall apart because you just it's a difficult thing because you like hone in on only that. And the thing I found this time around is like things have just become second nature to me now. I know the things, and it's hard at first. Like at first I was very regimented. I had a spreadsheet and I stuck to my meals, and it kind of took away for me. I spent a Sunday where I prepared every single meal for the week, and then it took away that choice. So every day I would just go to the fridge, pick out that day's meal, pop it in the microwave, and it was done. Whereas now I can be a lot more relaxed with it. And still go about my normal life and not, slack on work or, trying to get my degree finished. It's just it really is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, me too. And it's interesting that you talk about sort of how you started versus where you are now, because I think there is a change in mindset. And I agree that when you're starting out, it can be better to have a really clear plan with what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it. I mean, I follow the Body Coach Kickstart plan. And when I started it, I was 100% on plan. I didn't have any junk food. I ate exactly those meals. But now that I'm quite further along my journey, I'm a little bit more flexible. I have like chocolate if I want it, but I have it within my calorie deficit still. But I don't have to think so much. It's all kind of like habit now and second nature to me.
And I do also find, I think now that I've got to a point of feeling like I feel like I've got food freedom.
Mm.
And now that I've got to that point, like, you know, I said to you before about those pandy bars, like those
Yes.
protein bars are so incredible that I'm like, why would I want a Mars bar when I
Yeah.
could have that?
Yeah.
And once I stopped saying that certain foods were bad and certain
Mm-hmm.
foods were good and certain foods were unhealthy and other foods were healthy, like obviously there's a nutritious, like some
Yeah.
foods are more nutritious than others, but once I stopped labeling things as like that's a diet food,
Yeah.
it stopped me, because as well as there being foods that you try and avoid, there's also foods that you think are bad just because you know they're good, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
you know, rather than having a packet of McCoys, which you see as like, oh my God, it's bad, so that means it tastes really good. Or you could have a packet of like lentil crisps
Yeah.
and you'll be like, oh, they taste really bad because they're good for you. And once you stop labeling everything with that,
Yeah.
then for me now, I actually really enjoy lentil chips.
Oh, I
I
love
really
lentil chips.
enjoy my protein bars. And I think it's
Yeah.
because I'm no longer saying, oh, well, they're just boring because they're good for me.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that. I thought I was going to have to defend the lentil chip for a second there. Yeah, I do. I love them too. And I was
I love
always such a
them.
big crisp fiend. And I still like crisps, but I mean, I would get a bag of kettle chips and just eat the whole thing, or a tube of Pringles and just smash through it. And
Yeah.
I would never eat mindfully, but you start to lose the taste a little bit. And now I
Yeah.
genuinely would rather have, yeah, like lentil crisps or kind of one of those like Snacker Jacks or something like that. It
Yeah.
genuinely is the craving I get and the taste that I want. And I think
Yeah.
there's something behind as well. The more you eat of something, the more you crave that.
Yeah.
So if you're eating loads of junk food and you're drinking loads of wine or beer or whatever, you crave it all the time. And if you can
Yeah.
just go through, and it's not easy, but if you can go through those first few weeks of prioritizing some of the other foods, your body starts to naturally crave them more. And it's funny how the body does that.
Somebody once actually told me, I can't remember who it was, but it would have been like some kind of PT or something when I'd started before. Um, So with your first meal of the day, if you was to have like a high sugar content breakfast, then
Yeah.
all throughout the day, you're almost setting yourself up, because
Mm.
all throughout the day, your body will have had the sugar and therefore crave the sugar. So
Yeah.
if you start your day off with a high protein diet, a high protein breakfast,
Yeah.
then you're more likely to then crave
Mm.
the sort of protein style foods, because you're not having those dips. And it's something that's always stuck to me, so I always stick with like eggs or oats in the morning.
Yeah.
And I do find that like throughout the day then I'm not as focused on like me now, sugar isn't a problem, you know.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't need it anymore, because I
Yeah.
sort of almost weaned myself off it.
Yeah. But it's not an easy process. But once you do it, I think the way to do it is to think about, what do you want? Like, what do you really, really want? And everything that you're doing, is it getting you to that goal, or is it making you
Yeah.
step back away from it? But what you said
Yeah.
about starting the day, I think for me, that's been one of the revolutionary things. If I start my day with a workout and I start my day getting through my first like liter of water, I have a great day. I hit all my
Yeah.
goals that day. But if I get
Yeah.
to lunchtime and I think I've had 2 coffees, I've done about 200 steps, it's so hard to get it back on track.
Yeah, it really is. And the same is for me with the fact that I get up and out for a walk.
Yeah.
And that is just a non-negotiable for me now. And even like today, because it's a Sunday, I have woke up this morning and I knew we had this live, so I had like a chilled out morning, got ready, and I know that after this I've got to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And it feels now like, oh God's sake, I don't want to do that, but I will. And
Yeah.
that's like the discipline side of it. But
Yeah.
Monday to Friday, I make sure, and I don't have anything to be up for, like, because I am obviously at uni and I
Yeah.
also like work for myself, so it's pretty flexible. If I wanted to get up at 10 o'clock I could, but
Yeah.
I've just said to myself, every single day I have to get up, and I literally get up, do my hair, brush my teeth, get dressed, and leave
Straight out.
every morning at 8 o'clock. And if I don't go then the day I just lose the day.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'll be able to get myself out and do it.
And there's something about as well, I think, having that set routine of what time you wake up, what time you go out. Because if you keep it too flexible, you think I'll do it at some point, and then most of the time you just then don't. Whereas if you think I'm out the door by 8, for me, I'm out of bed by 6:30, and even on weekends I'm up, because then I get my whole day. I get my whole day to do what I want at the weekend, and that's amazing.
Yeah. And
so what would you sorry
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say that, like, I can't even remember now what I was going to say. Go on, go to the next one.
So what would you say, someone who is watching this and they're just about to start a health and weight loss journey, what are your top 3 tips to that person?
First one, huge one, make a plan.
Yeah.
Don't just go into it and say, I'm going to do this. You know, whether you're doing a specific diet, I mean, calorie deficit, I would highly recommend, but plan your meals, like plan out your shopping list, go and get everything in. If you're somebody that struggles with, like for me at the start, it was really difficult for me to control my hunger. So if I didn't have a plan in place or a meal ready to go in the fridge, I would very easily have ordered a Deliveroo or just sat with a packet of crisps to make myself not feel as hungry before I could cook dinner. So at the very start, I made a plan. I had 5 breakfast, lunches and dinners that I could have every week, and I planned what I was having on every day. I even planned my snacks. And everything was there and ready to go. So I took all of any external thought I needed to make, I took away, and I literally committed a Sunday to sit. And whether it was like chopping up the salad and having a big box of salad in the fridge, boiling hard-boiled eggs, and I would just put a Tupperware of hard-boiled eggs in the fridge so that I didn't even need to boil an egg. Like, I just literally, if I was really hungry, I could just pick out an egg and eat it. That would be my first one, make a plan. Second one, don't overwhelm yourself with exercise. Literally just go for a walk. Walking is so good for you, and it's good for your mental health. Depending on where you live, like, you can go and explore new areas. Like for me, I've lived in London now for 4 years, and during this lockdown, like, we're now besties with our like barista who is in the park down the road, and it's such a nice thing. Every morning we go and it's morning, ladies, and you know, we get a coffee, and every so often we get a free one, and you know, it's a really nice experience to get out, and you know, you start to see the dogs that you see all the time. Like, it's just a really nice experience, and you really just don't need to focus on, obviously now I'm focusing more on strength training, and I've started Couch to 5K, but that would have overwhelmed me at the start. So I think just commit to 10,000 steps a day, or if you're only getting 2,000 steps a day at the minute, try and step it up to 5,000 and take things slowly. And then my third one is, like, don't worry about the scale. Like, you are going to hit a plateau. It happens. But it is, if you are really in a calorie deficit, sorry, I keep looking that way. There's like a crow that keeps flying past my window. If you are really in a deficit, which I do think a huge problem that does come up for people is, like, even now, I still measure most of my food.
Yeah, same.
And it's so easy to become complacent. You can literally get a small scale on Amazon for probably a tenner. And even I'm going to buy one of those spoons. I don't know if you've seen
one. It's good.
So I want to get one of those.
Do it.
Because I just think it'll be more convenient for lots of things. But measure all of your food. There are certain things now, like with oat milk, when I make my oats in the morning, I don't measure it because I know at what level the milk is, and it's not that many calories to worry about. But with things like oil and butter, like, they can so easily add up. So I would say, don't focus on the scales, and focus all of that attention on figuring out what meals it is that you can make that are going to make it sustainable for you. You know, for me, I need to have a lot of protein, and I also need to be able to have the things like burgers and things like that. So now I have spent time mastering a recipe to make burgers that taste really good, and then I don't feel like I'm missing out on things. And I think that's the problem, is most people think they've got a diet and not eat all of the things that they enjoy, whereas you just learn how to make them to fit with your new lifestyle.
Even just a small change to that meal can make such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like with the burgers, I often will have chicken burgers, and it's literally the chicken like in spices, and then salad in the burger bun, sweet potato fries, and you feel like you're having a treat, but it's good food that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And just those small changes. But I completely agree about the walking. I've really championed walking for weight loss. I think it makes such a huge difference, and it's so achievable. And most people can get outside, but even if you can't, you've got those step workouts on YouTube. There's so many options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely.
So if you could go back to day one of you on a health kick, what would be the message that you would say to yourself?
Do not let your calories go too low.
Yeah, nice. Yes.
Yeah, because when I first started, I obsessed over the idea that I needed to be on a low amount of calories to lose weight.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. And what the science is behind that, I don't know. But it really, like, a lot of people that I see or some people who message me, they say like, I've been in a calorie deficit for 2 months and I've not lost any weight. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I say to them, like, how many calories are you on? And they'll be like, oh, like 1,200, 1,300. Like, that is just not enough calories. Your body's probably panicking.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, oh my God, what do I do here? And it's literally holding on to everything that it possibly can.
Yeah.
Whereas what I found is that once I upped my calories, so for me now, I have because I do also have an underactive thyroid, so it's much more difficult for me to lose weight.
Right.
So I found that for me, a good window is 16 to 1,800 Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And then I allow myself to go up to 2,000 at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that, you know, if I want to have a little bit extra, or if we're having a movie night, like last night we had, we made like tortilla pizzas, and we had some selection of chips and dips. Nice. And it just means that I don't have to sit there and be like, oh, I can only have 3 of these. And, you know, I can eat as much as I want, and I'm not going to be feeling guilty about it, or, you know, but that spot for me, yes, I had a 2-month period, it was about 6 to 8 weeks, where I lost no weight whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden it just dropped, and I've been on a steady decline ever since. So
I always find that, like, if it plateaus or even goes up a bit, I used to really panic and think it's not working, and that would be when I give up. But I feel like if you are truly in a calorie deficit, you're doing your walking, you're drinking your water, if it plateaus or goes up a bit, in a way it's a good sign, because it's about to go down. Yeah. Changes are
go on.
I used to see it as a bad thing, but it's a good thing. Like, it's weird, but it's such a good thing, because I think it shows like good times are just around the corner. And I bet there's so many people who don't wait to get around that corner. But if people could and just force themselves to just wait, the results are amazing.
Yeah, it's so true. And like so last month I actually weighed myself every day for the month, so that I could show everyone.
Yeah.
Because they see, like, I'll post, because I do monthly weigh-ins.
Yeah.
They'll see that I post, and it's like I lost 12 pounds in January, I lost 10 pounds in February. And you see that, and it's like, oh, well, I'm not losing any weight. But then when you actually see my month, it looks like this on the graph. But if you look at it every day, it's literally like this.
Yeah.
And I noticed how it would go it would go like this, and then I'd be the same, pound increase, £2 decrease,
Yes.
or, and it's almost as if like you stay completely the same, and then out of nowhere, and it could be on a day where you've gone right to the top of your calorie allowance,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gone.
It's crazy, and I always find for some reason that actually a weigh-in the day after I've had the higher end of my calorie allowance is a drop on the whole, and I feel great obviously because I've not been restricting, I've not starved myself, and
Yeah,
I mean I understand a bit of the science around it, but I think that if you go too low in your calories, your body thinks it's in that starvation mode, and so it preserves all of your fat stores, and you need to be having a certain amount for your body to think, okay, I can start burning off the excess because I'm not being starved, I'm in a good place to be able to do so.
yeah. And I think at the moment we're in a really weird place for like the health and fitness industry. If
Yeah.
you look at like, 100 years ago, there were advertisements everywhere for smoking, and nobody knew
Yeah.
that smoking was bad for us, and then science told us that it was.
Yeah.
Right now I think we're in the very early stages of figuring out that it isn't normal to say that every woman should eat 2,000 calories and every
Yeah.
man should eat 2,500.
Yeah.
And so like for me, my maintenance calories as I am right now is 2,600. So
Yeah.
I would actually be in a deficit if I ate 2,100, and yet that's over the average for a female.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I'm the same. Like me right now today, my maintenance is about 2,300. And if like you'd said that to me before, I'd think, no, that's too high. That's
Yeah.
too high, like surely. But I think you have to have a certain amount of personal accountability where there was a time where on a Friday I would eat a whole pizza, a whole bottle of wine, a whole thing of pasta, and that was a lot more than
Yeah.
2,300. And I obviously did that for a long time.
Yeah. That
But
was
at least I know
exactly the
it
same
now.
for me. You know, and there's like I this is the problem that I've always had though, is I'm a very all or nothing person.
Me too. Yeah.
And I'm really trying to work on that now. But if I ordered a McDonald's, I would very easily sit and get through 5,000 calories
Yeah.
in one sitting. And even if it wasn't in that one sitting, because I couldn't decide which burger I wanted, I'd get both and then I'd
Yeah.
just keep on and eat it later.
Yeah.
Whereas it's almost getting out of that mentality of like, I don't need to have it now. If I want
Mm-hmm.
it later, I can.
Yeah.
And not having to, like I used to go to the shop and I'd be like, because I'm at the shop, I might as well get this, I might as well
Oh,
get that.
me too.
And I'll
I'd
keep it in the
always,
cupboard.
I'd
Never
always
keep it
sneak
in the
something
cupboard.
extra in. Like I find it strange now that I get fuel and that I just get fuel because that was not me before. It was fuel plus always.
Yeah. Little cheeky bag of crisps here, chocolate
Yeah,
bar, and they add up. And
they
when you're
do.
not being mindful of it,
Yeah.
and even I really do believe that nutrition is a huge part of it.
Mm.
And it doesn't mean to say, like, I hired a nutritionist last year and it was the best thing I've ever done. But I'm never going to be someone who wants to eat salmon, quinoa, and green beans as
Yeah.
as like, every single day of the week. And that
Yeah.
was like her sort of approach to it. But
Mm.
the things that I did learn is just me making sure that I eat enough protein,
Yeah.
that, whether you're vegetarian or not, like protein is so important. It keeps you
Mm-hmm.
feeling full. It allows you to build muscle and, have a nice toned shape.
Yeah.
Having adding in vegetables and fruit with all my meals, because all my life I've thought, oh, porridge, because you just think of this bland bowl of
Yeah.
sludge.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, when you start adding in some protein chocolate spread and some berries, it's really, really nice and it's really good for you.
Yeah.
And so, what I think that is the huge thing as well for people when they're first starting out is, yes, it's going to be really hard. It's almost like an addiction at the start. You've got to
Yeah.
like completely overhaul everything that you've been doing. But rather than focusing on what you're taking away, focus on adding things in. So
Yes.
like, you know, yes, I'm still gonna have, for ages I would have like breaded chicken, you know, just from like Tesco's, whereas now I'll tend to make it myself. But I would have that and still have it, like still have that, but like add in salad or add
Yes.
on some veggies. And I think once you start focusing on those things, and then you realize, like a huge one for me, for example, is I love bacon, and I love a
Yeah.
bacon and egg sandwich.
Nice.
And when I first started a calorie deficit and I logged my bacon and egg sandwich, where you've got two pieces of thick bread, you've got
Yeah.
3 slices of fully the fat on bacon, you've got your egg that you've fried, and then your brown
Yeah.
sauce and the butter on your bread. And now I tend, if I want that, I'll have it with sourdough bread,
Yeah.
which I know is well worth the calories because it doesn't make me bloated. It doesn't make me feel stodgy. I don't have butter. I just use the brown sauce. And I use turkey bacon.
Yeah.
And then I fry my egg in fry light rather than oil. And I've reduced the calories of that. And it's like a Saturday treat. But
Yeah.
I've reduced the calories of it by like, I think it was about 250 calories reduction,
Wow.
just by
Wow.
switching out a few ingredients.
Yeah.
And that means that I can have something else later on and I'm not going over too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing, just those small changes, but you're still having it. You're just having a different version of it. And
Yeah.
imagine if, I mean, I used to have an egg and bacon sandwich for breakfast every day, like no joke.
Yeah.
And so if I could remove 250 every single day, that's going to make quite a big difference to my weight in like 6 months or a year. So those little changes, yeah. And I really love what you said around don't focus on what you're like taking away and what you're missing. Think about get protein in your day. I think also make sure you're drinking lots of water. And once you've done that, you won't want to eat loads and loads of other snacks. You might want one thing. You might think, oh, I've finished my dinner. Like at the moment, I've been getting those chocolate aero mousses, and I might finish dinner with that. But then that is so different to if I like how I used to approach it before.
Yeah. And I think it's also like now it feels almost like it's second nature, but it was really
Yeah,
hard work to get to this point.
yeah,
And the only way I knew how to do it was to plan.
yeah,
And so for anyone who's starting out, the biggest thing is just like sit down with yourself, and like even if it's like your 3 favorite meals,
yeah,
figure out a way to still incorporate. Like if I actually sit back and think about what it was for me that would make me spiral, it was takeaways and it was crisps,
oh,
because
Chris.
I didn't have the ability to say no. So when
Yeah,
I first started, I made sure that I incorporated those things into my deficit. So I was allowed to
yeah,
take away once a week.
yeah.
I would always try and make it a little bit healthier. And with crisps, I love Wotsits, I love Quavers. They're lower calorie than some of the other options. And I made
Yeah.
sure that I had them. And that sort of stopped me from making those really impulsive decisions to completely go off track.
You've got to just make it as easy for yourself as possible, don't you? And
Yeah.
having those healthier options in the fridge. And I found for a lunch, especially, having leftovers that I can just whack in the microwave was a game changer. And that was
Yeah.
the difference between me having a healthier meal or me having cheese on toast, which I used to always have. If we think about the day I used to have, which was like egg and bacon sandwich, cheese on toast, and then like wine and pizza, you can have versions of all of those things, but just
Yeah.
probably not the way that I was. So yeah,
I
making it
mean,
as easy as possible.
when I think about my pizza order,
Mm-hmm.
like you order a Domino's and it's like, when I'm like, when do people ever just get pizza? I don't ever just get a pizza.
Yeah.
You know, I'd end up with a pizza and the twisted garlic dough balls and then
Yeah.
some chicken dippers on the side. And before you
Yeah.
know it, you've used about like easily 6,000 calories.
Yeah. Extra dip. Don't forget
Yeah.
about that.
And I mean, those dips are so high calorie. And
Yeah.
then, but now it's like, if I really fancy a pizza, so I'll go to Tesco's and I buy the I can't think what they're called now, but that you can buy like literally pizzas that are like 300 calories. You can buy ones that are 300 calories for the whole thing, but the one I get is like 300 calories for half of it.
Okay.
And so I did this. It's in the freezer, and I do this thing where I like smash it over the over my kitchen counter, so it snaps in half.
To break
and
it.
I'll
Okay.
have half of it
Yeah.
with a salad on the side, and I get that like little fix that I wanted without. And over time, you don't then feel like you're missing out. You're actually feeling a bit like smug inside. You're like,
yeah,
you know, I no to you, Domino's. You're not going to ruin me today.
It's such a good feeling. Pizza is a vice, I think, for a lot of people, and it definitely has been for me. But I actually really like making my own homemade pizzas. And on the day that I make it, I'll have like a third or half with salad, and then the other bits I'll individually wrap and put in the freezer. So if ever I'm having like one of those bad days, I just heat one of those up and I get that fix, and it feels good if I stay on hand. Yeah, it's my opening case of emergency snack, pizza in the freezer.
That is such a good idea. I actually made, for the first time, normally I've been making them with tortilla wraps.
Oh, yes.
But last night we made them with pita.
Nice.
And they were so good. And then really, you can have like 2 small pizzas.
Yeah.
Because you're just chopping your pita in half. And then it's literally just like tomato puree. Like everyone needs to eat lean cheese if you like cheese, because it's.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
It's low calorie and actually tastes like cheese, and it melts.
Oh my gosh!
Because a lot of these like lower calorie ones don't melt.
Yeah.
And then we just got a pack of like barbecue chicken from like the deli section of Tesco's.
Yeah.
And like broke it up and had like barbecue chicken pizzas last night, and they were amazing.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the whole, like for 2 pizzas, it's like 250 calories, which, you know, it's not. It's completely within what anyone can eat,
and it feels good. I think because you feel like it's a little life hack, and that's quite satisfying at the same time.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. One would be what has been your best like scale related victory, a day where you thought, wow, that's really come down. But then following straight up with that, what's been your best like glow up victory, which is non-scale related, but a change that you've noticed and you thought, I can't believe that's happened?
Okay. The scale one for me is going below 15.5.
Yeah.
Because so I'm now at 15.3. And the lightest I can remember being in my adult life was 14.12, so I'm very close to that. But 15.5, I remember a specific day in like, so I've not been this light since about 2013, and I remember weighing myself when I still lived with my parents and being like 50. I was at 15.5, and I just started again going onto one of those juice cleanses.
Oh,
and I just remember like how consumed I was at that point. So when I weighed myself and I'd gone below that number, and I'm just like, wow, I've actually done this, and I'm enjoying it. That was like a really big like scale moment. And then the non-scale, probably fitting into these jeans.
Yeah, I can see them hanging up.
Like they're there so that every morning I'm like, they're gonna fit me. And obviously I'm in my 54-day challenge. And like when I first tried them on, and I can remember like grabbing all of like the fat that was hanging over the edge of them. And I just can't believe that it's been 40 days and they fit me, and then they're more than perfect for me to wear. Obviously anything else I lose from this point on is just like when I'm sort of sitting down, there's like hanging over. But the fact that I've been able to fit into them and to see such a visible difference is amazing.
That's so good. And trying on old clothes is the best feeling ever. And I've got clothes which before I could wear, but a few hours into the day I'd feel so uncomfortable and I wish I wasn't wearing them. Whereas now they're probably just a bit too loose for me to wear anymore,
Yeah.
which is mind-blowing.
It's amazing, isn't it? And like,
It really
yeah,
is.
I mean, I'm the same with when you find things and you try it on and you can remember putting it on and feeling
Yeah.
a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a pair of jeans and I refuse to get rid of them now because I can remember I would sit down and my hips were like flat because they were so tight.
Oh yeah.
And I tried them on the other day and like they were saggy. And I just like, that's just
Yeah,
such a good feeling. So I'm just going
it
to
is.
keep them as a reminder that like I did that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you've done so amazingly, and I love your videos. I think they're so
Yeah.
inspiring.
Okay.
Honestly, I feel so excited about life, and I'm excited for other people who are about to start this journey and go through all of this. Like, I almost feel nostalgic looking back at when I started, and I felt like alone doing it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can make people feel like, we're all there and we're part of this community and we can do it all
Yeah.
together, and we can support people,
Definitely.
because both of us are still heading towards goals. We're like not there yet, but we've come a long way.
Yeah, 100%. So exciting.
So exciting. Well, thank you so much. We're
Thank
definitely,
you.
definitely going to have to do another live together.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so I hope you have a good day.
And you. See you
And I'll
later.
speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.